the court, but we having ditches, not having ditches on the field across from the building site. But Judge Damon ruled that we signed off on the whole 40, and the whole part of the road that was rebuilt was on the top field, not down where the culvert was. In allowing the Kuyak Transport to build, they were not allowed any parking 200 feet from the center of the road, Highway 3554. This was to be no parking in front of the building. To this day, there is vehicles parked in front of the building, and there has not been, and the berm has not been kept up or prevent view because of the 350-foot scenic easement signed by Lady Bird Johnson in 1965. What is the sense of having restrictions or conditions if nobody follows it? Creasel's complaint about us selling produce on our side of the road, which is on our property. They keep calling on the cops on us. They lost in court with Judge Damon when Judge Damon allowed us to have a scareway gun at the east side of a 40 that we own. Creasel's here knew that the scareway gun was there since 1979 when we purchased that land from the Nashes. But they built a house less than 100 feet from the property line, saying this was the only spot of the field that they could build because the rest of the field floods in the spring from the runoff from the north side of 3554 and County Road G. In the county's plan, there was only supposed to be one house per 40, and they have that house now. That's called their retirement home. But after she lost in court against us, she enlisted the town board, primarily Dennis Bortle, in the fight against us. This case is sitting in the Wisconsin Appeals Court awaiting some action, which we would like to know what is delaying it. We have spent a lot of hard-earned money defending ourselves and our crops from the birds because of her. She was released from farmland preservation to sell the land to Kuyak Transport because of financial hardship in 1993. Every time someone has financial hardship, it's the township and the county just going to go change everything and rules around because, plus the county plan was set up to have everybody, not a select few. If she was such financial hardship, how and why did she get money from the Bank of Galso to put a lien on that property for $75,000 to build a house? On top of that, she moved back to the farmstead after Raleigh passed away, and now she's been renting her home to the Rick Nimitz, the town chairman. How convenient. I guess that is the way to get things done the way you want. In the spring, this whole field is flooded. From the runoff that comes, there's two culverts underneath Highway 35 by County Road G that comes under Highway 35. This is a floodplain. If houses and roads to be built here, houses and roads are to be built, how much less will it saturate in the ground, thus creating a bigger runoff onto our property? I have pictures of the backed up water because of the culvert is put in wrong. We don't need any more water in that field. Concerning the driveway to exit this property, everyone have to exit on the driveway from the new house. The frontage road surely cannot be built, cannot highway built onto that. Plus there's a 90-foot highway right away, plus there's a 350-foot scenic easement which you cannot build a road on. I don't think anybody has thought this through when the town board okayed it and sent it to the county. The other day I asked Sony about it. But did you know how wide the easement here? No. Where's the road they're going to get out? Gerald Hunger, right across from us, tried years ago to sell lots on that property he owned, but the state denied having any other exit besides the one he has by his house. I have a paper clip here that was from back in those days, from the town of Trempealeau, Buffalo. The board denied the request by Daniel Bird of Found City for a conditional use permit to build a mini warehouse for rental storage on a steep slope district with less than 10 acres and 1,000 feet width. The proposed site was located 5 miles south of the spur in the town of Buffalo, described in the northwest quarter of section 13. The proposal was denied because of the building site constraints and a scenic easement that is attached to the land begot by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Carlton and I have both sent letters to the town board before the 8/20/20 meeting, in which they okayed to rezone. The motion was that when they don't know where. I mean, they didn't do any research on that property before they okayed it. Two of her friends, Grace Glonner and Christine Cluster, both new members, made the motion a second. Randy Severson signed a petition against us for these scareaway guns, so I don't think he should be allowed to vote against us on this petition, on this rezoning. Anybody want to see pictures of the flood?
I think that would be germane. Could we see? Do you have one to pass around?
I have 4 of them, I guess.
And this is of the property,
Our property, that's to the east of this.
that,
To the west of it, I mean.
The
To
west,
the west,
yeah.
this way.
yeah.
Where do you want me to start? Up there?
Just give it to Randy and then send it this way, and he'll pass it around.
This is the spring. These are the flood. That's the ones where the water is sitting. Here's the culvert where it's way out of line. Here's the culvert. It's full of dirt because it's not placed right.
So, Carlton, that's it? Or Carlton, I'm sorry, Wendell.
I have all the documents I've talked about. I have them in this folder. If somebody wants to see them, what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you.
It's not made up.
Oh, they're,
All right, thank you. Carlton, do you want to, so the next person is Carlton Klein, and he's wishes to testify in opposition.
Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome.
There's just a few things I'd like to add. I was wondering how many of the people here physically viewed the parcel of land. That means standing on the highway or along the highway and looking at the land. Second is there a description or plotted out proposal?
It's a certified survey map, yes.
Certified survey, is it plotted out or is it just a survey of the land?
It's a certified survey map related to the house and the existing house and parcel.
Okay, has the scenic easement been released? Has the farmland preservation been released?
Well, so you're raising some issues. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. And as far as these guns are going, we've been not be able to use the guns for the last 3 years. This coming year, the guns are going to be used. We've got a constitutional right that they're going to go. I'm sick of losing money for 3 years. So take that into consideration. And if anybody wants to stop me, they're going to be according to Wisconsin statute 946.12 parentheses 2. Whoever takes an oath of office to follow the law will be in contempt. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this issue? This is a request for a rezone.
That's just a survey map. It's not really plotted out for how many lots.
No, was that, I didn't understand the question, no.
That's what he's asking about. Is it plotted out for how they're going to build the roads and where the lots are going to be?
No, that hasn't been given. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this issue? Verge, you said there was a letter from the town?
the letter was dated August 24th, 2020. Oops. Gentlemen, this letter is written with reference to the request from Patricia Kriesel to rezone 37-plus acres located on State Road 5435, tax parcel number 0280160800000 in the town of Trempealeau from exclusive ag to rural residential. Patricia Kriesel sent letters to all neighbors on the attached map. I have attached the only 2 responses received. The board has no objection to the rezone. Town of Trempealeau, Rick Nemitz, town chairman.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the request for a rezone?
George, do you want me to read these letters from the town?
No, we have
Okay.
copies of
Okay.
that. In which case, I will close the public hearing at 9:22 and open it up to the committee for possible action and discussion. Action and possible discussion, discussion and possible action.
I'd like just to address Wendell's reference to me. This is a different situation. It has nothing to do with the ordinance petition at this time.
Yeah. So is there, could you pull up the wetlands map or the, what am I trying to say? Pardon? Floodplain map? Lay this over here. The Kleins have raised a number of issues related to access, setbacks, and water, buildability of the site, I guess is the question. And all things we need to take into consideration when we're dealing with rezones. So the request specifically is to rezone the 38-plus acres for in order to split off, since you are not living there, split off an existing house and about an acre in order to allow for a sale, correct? Right. And then with the possibility in the future, I mean, this was part of the narrative, with the possibility in the future of selling another building site to your daughter to build a house and possibly develop. Could you expand on that at all?
Well, I haven't really made any plans yet. My daughter and her husband are renting the work land, and they will continue to do that.
Okay. So there's no floodplain on that property? Okay.
And there's no plan for her to build a house, no.
Okay, I may have misheard.
Yeah.
So, would you say then that the initial plan, the plan now is to basically to create a parcel from the existing house and some land, and then leave the rest of the land in agriculture?
Yes, that's the plan. Yep.
If we were to rezone to rural residential, that would, is it rural residential or R8? That would allow for the possibility of 2 more lots on that property?
It would, but that's not in my plan.
Okay, it being 4, rural residential being, correct me if I'm wrong, Verge, it's 4 per 40, and you have less than 40 acres, so
Right.
that would be a maximum of 3 lots on that property. There currently would be 2, meaning the house and the acre or so plus the other lot.
Yes, yes.
I wanted to clarify that for the committee. The issue with water is real. I have been there in the spring. I've driven that road, and I have been on the property, and that is an issue, as is the scenic easement. And that house, I know, is more than 350 feet
Yes,
back
it
from the
is.
road.
It is, yes.
So what's the will of the committee? It's a request to cut a parcel out of an existing property in order to sell it.
In order to continue the discussion, I will make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, let's go ahead and we'll get it. They were moving to the microphone at the same time. So let's continue the discussion. The issues related to the site's buildability. There exists a house that meets the setbacks and clearly has been built and inspected so as to remain. And the request is to rezone to rural residential, which potentially would allow for 3 building sites. Any questions? We have the applicant here as well as neighbors.
George, this is Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck, go ahead.
What's the background on the gun ordinance? I'm not familiar with that.
Well, it's really not germane to the issue at hand. Trempealeau passed a gun ordinance, a scare gun ordinance in 2017, which outlawed the use of scare guns in the town of Trempealeau. And my
okay.
understanding is that the clients are fighting that in court.
Okay, so that has nothing to do, okay.
Yeah.
May I? A couple of questions. Field access to the field going forward, if we do split off this parcel, how will that be accomplished? I can't tell from the aerials. Are there any other field roads coming off of the highway right now?
There's a 40-foot easement on the lot.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the CSM in front of us, so it is
So-
difficult to, I can see it down here too. This is actually better for me because I don't have to turn my head.
Kyle, can you point to that, where it is on the map up there?
Right here.
oh, that, okay. And that's off the proposed 40-foot wide access easement to be created by separate document. Okay, and then that goes right up to the right-of-way, basically. That little dog leg. Okay, so that's the access for the agricultural
Yeah.
work? Okay.
And then what's the driveway to the house now? That end of that'll have to have an easement for everybody else to use that off the highway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it seems, it stops 350 feet short of the highway because of the easement. Or within the right-of-way, rather.
Looks like the middle of the easement is at 293 feet from the highway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have it, so I couldn't at that time.
Any extra?
That's the only copy I have of that, but it is up on the screen.
I can't see where you're pointing out way back here.
I can come up.
Yeah, did somebody use their finger and point?
Yeah.
Right here.
Well,
Well, it's referring to the dog leg to the left of there.
this would be the entrance off the state highway, which already exists. Here is the 40-foot easement right here that goes into the field over here.
Thanks, George.
Okay. So we have an existing lot that the homeowner wishes to sell. In order to do that, they have to create a split in the 38-plus acres of property to create a zoning district that allows for more than one house per 40. So that's the request before us. And we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
in the event that the property is again split 4
No.
lots, they would have to come before this committee again, correct? With a new CSM
Yes.
to do the
Yes.
split,
Yes, because it likely would be also less than 20 acres.
correct? So right now, it's just 2 splits. Anything in the future would have to come before this committee again.
Right.
Thank
Or
you.
it would have to go to the department and be approved by the surveyor. So it would not come before the committee. Oh, unless you mean another rezone.
No, another split of the property.
No, that's approved at the department level.
Okay, that clears that up.
All right, you guys ready to vote?
I don't know if everybody has seen the map, I think it's.
Oh, okay, this is the certified, the same thing that's up on the.
Yeah, it's up on the screen also,
We've got a
yes.
real good
Yeah,
view up
this
here.
is-
We have a private screen up here.
Everyone should have their own monitor.
We're good.
No.
We're good.
It's,
All right. A request for a rezone from exclusive ag to rural residential, which will allow for 3 lots on this 38-plus acres, specifically now for splitting off of this lot for sale. All in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the rezone will carry. There'll be a, have you been talking with Verge, Pat?
No.
Okay, well, you'll get the information to her that this.
Oh, yeah, I have been.
Okay,
The county board on March 15th.
this needs to go to the county board. If you would be willing to be present, that would be great.
I can be here.
Okay, yes.
What we've been doing is just taking their cell number.
Oh, right.
So that,
Right.
because of COVID, they don't necessarily have to attend, but that we ask that they be present at 7 o'clock, so that if we
Right.
need to call them, they're
Thank
available.
you, yeah, this room gets a lot more crowded on county board meeting nights. All right, thank you. And clients, thank you for raising the issues that you did. And we'll,
I mean, talk about the water, and it doesn't make any difference, I guess.
all right, so we'll move on to the next request for a rezone, and this is a public hearing, very similar. A land use change, rezone from exclusive ag to rural residential by Charles T. and Kathleen Halama from the town of Hale. At this point, I will call the public hearing to order. It is 9:30, what is that, 4, something like that? And I'll read the notice of the public hearing. There will be a public hearing before the Trempealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at 9:05 a.m. in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 36245 Main Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The purpose, a land use change rezone from exclusive ag to rural residential on approximately 67.127 acres for parcel division. Location, northeast 1/4 of the southwest 1/4 located in Section 1, Township 23 North, Range 8 West, and the northwest 1/4 of the southeast 1/4 located in Section 21, Township 23 North, Range 8 West, all in the town of Hale, Trempealeau County, Wisconsin. Hearing requested by Charles T. and Kathleen F. Halama, landowner petitioners. And do we have any of the Halamas here virtually? Yeah, okay, great. And then there's a fairly lengthy section about the COVID restrictions and the recommendations. And then the but. Trempealeau County invites you to join this meeting as follows, and the number is, if you care to call in to participate, it's 715-538-1770. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Virginia Gamroth with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916 or email at vergegamroth@county.trempealeau.wi.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comment to Department of Land Management, P.O. Box 67, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to verge.gamroth@co.trempealeau.wi.us. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Virginette Gamroth of the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916. Sincerely, Virginette Gamroth, Service Specialist. And I think, are the Halamas here? Let's see. Oh, I see a wave. Could we get them a little larger on the screen? So we'll do as we did previously. Verge, will you describe what the request is? And then we'll have Mr. Halama expand, if there's any need to expand.
Okay. As George mentioned, Charles Halama, and it looks like maybe Kathleen is there too, are on the webinar. Their request is to rezone 67.127 acres approximately from exclusive ag to rural residential. They would like to create a house lot of approximately 3 acres to build a home on. The rest of the land, at some point, they may sell some of it. Right now, they have no concrete plans for that. The hearing was published 2 consecutive weeks, 10 days prior to the hearing, and letters were sent to all adjoining landowners. I have received no correspondence for or against from anyone. At one point, this land was in farmland preservation, but that contract was relinquished back in April of 1992, or actually, it expired in 2002, so no longer an issue. I have a letter from the town, and I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Halamas, is there anything you want to add to that? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Nope, still can't. Try it again. Nope.
Can read your lips.
Yeah. We know what "can you hear me now" looks like when someone says it. It doesn't
About
what?
now.
Oh, there
Yes.
we go. All right, go ahead. So, did Verge pretty much get it right?
Well, that's the same thing.
No, we got you. We can hear you.
Maybe you can hear us now.
Chuck and Kathleen, can you hear us? No, I don't think so.
Oh, no. Daryl, work your magic.
Sorry, I'm unable to get my speaker to work.
Oh, but we can hear you now. You got their number, Verge?
Yes, I do. I have 2 phone numbers.
Can you give them a quick call?
Do you want me to call them up here? Or?
No, oh, here, what's their number? I can call them. This is,
I can hear you, but I evidently you can't hear us.
oh, no, we
No,
can
we
hear
can hear
you.
you now.
We can hear you now.
Oh, good.
All right, so,
Sorry.
let's go back. So did Verge's description cover what your plans are for the property?
For the most part, yes. We're just looking to put a home on approximately 3 acres of it, or whatever may be needed.
Okay. All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this issue? And a reminder, if anyone's watching at home, 715-538-1770. If you wish to speak to this, 538-1770. And we have the parcel up here. There's currently no houses on the parcel.
Correct.
Okay. Or the parcels, I should say. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this issue? I'll give the telephone number one more time, 715-538-1770. Verge, did you say there was a letter from the town?
Yes.
Could you read that, please?
Okay, the letter is dated January 12, 2021, from the town of Hale to the Trumpealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee. On January 12, 2021, the Town of Hale Board met to discuss the rezoning of 67.127 acres of the Charles and Kathleen Halama property from exclusive ag to rural residential. The two adjoining parcels, parentheses 34.447 acres and 32.68 acres, parentheses, would be zoned as rural residential instead of the current exclusive ag, and the town board was in agreement on that plan. The Halamas want to erect a house on their property in the near future and needed the rezone change in order to comply with zoning requirements. The parcel where the house would be built is located along Loga Road, which meets County Road D. The Halamas had measured out the distances and assured the board that the house was sited far enough off from Loga Road and also that it would be sited far enough from their neighbor's property line. Also, the driveway enters onto Loga Road, and the Halamas assured the board that the line of sight in either direction was adequate to see oncoming traffic. A notice of the rezone request was posted on the January 12th meeting agenda, and there was no public opposition to the rezone request. And after a brief discussion, the board had no problems with the rezone request, and Greg Fonstead made a motion to recommend to the County Environment and Land Use Committee their approval of the zoning change. This motion was seconded by David Lingen, and it was passed unanimously by the board. This letter of approval for the rezone of 67.127 acres from exclusive ag to rural residential is being authorized by the Town of Hale Board and is being presented to the Trempealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee by Donald A. Halverson, Town of Hale Clerk.
I'll ask a third time, is there anyone who wishes to speak to this issue related to a rezone in the Town of Hale? Hearing no request to speak, I will close the public hearing at 9:43. And you forgot your pictures?
George?
Yeah.
Remind him that he cannot speak at county board.
Right, here we go.
For the county board meeting.
There we go. There won't be an opportunity to speak. That won't be a public hearing at that time. But if you wish to attend, you certainly can.
I mean, there's no chance to bring these stuff up, because the scenic easement has been released. You can't build a road on the scenic easement. I mean, that should be brought up to the county board. You know?
So, thank you.
Chairman of the county board, I could talk.
So,
John Awesome.
so the,
If you go up to our office.
did I close the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, I will open up the request for a rezone to the committee.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Kellen and Carol, did you? Okay. We have a motion and a second. I noticed there is some wetland there as, excuse me.
Bless you.
On the north side of the road.
Oh, that's on the north side of the road.
Yeah, nothing, that's the 3 acres, and then that's a 19 acre, or the 13 down there.
Okay. This is a again, this is a request for a rezone from exclusive ag to rural residential, which would be 4 per 40. And with 67 acres, you're probably looking at 6 houses or 6 lots potentially. Could you pull up the land use, the current land use map?
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
while Kyle is pulling up the land use map, I'm gonna take this off. I would like to let the committee know that in the revised comprehensive land use plans that have been going on for a number of years now and have not been approved, every town has not been approved at the county level. Town of Hale, in their revised comprehensive land use plan, has everything changed to rural residential.
Yeah,
So this
it's-
is just something that needs to be changed right now, but whenever that plan is finally approved at this level and then at county board level, the entire township would be in rural residential zoning.
So although those are very pretty colors and geometric shapes, I'm guessing that the green is rural residential and the yellow is the exclusive ag that we're currently talking
Yep,
about.
that's correct. All of this, where my mouse is rural residential, and then this yellower part is exclusive agriculture.
Okay, so we're looking to for a request that makes the land use consistent with the properties around. Oh, there's some nice salmon color.
Actually, that's R8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is all R8.
The town was formerly mostly R8,
Okay.
but they're going to rural residential.
Right, and their proposal right now is to create 3 lots, and maybe at some point in the future, maybe perhaps sell off 1 or 2 of them. They have no other plans to put more houses there. And the other reason that rural residential was suggested is because in R8, you have to get a conditional use for any agricultural animals.
Oh, that's
So-
right. Right.
And also what Kathy mentioned, that their plan is to go back to rural residential as opposed to the R8 zoning that the land use map currently shows.
Okay. So thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve this rezone. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the committee recommends the rezone to the county board. Halamas will be bringing this to the county board on the 15th of March, and Verge will have you stand by your phone in case anybody needs to ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Even virtually. Our third rezone request is for, in the town of Unity, and David and Ricky Back are requesting a rezone from exclusive ag 2 to primary ag. And the notice of public hearing is here. I will open up this public hearing at 9:50. And here is the rezone request. There will be a public hearing before the Trempealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at 9:10 a.m. Well, actually, it's 9:50 in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 36245 Main Street, Whitehall. The purpose, a land use change rezone from exclusive ag 2 to primary ag 2, or primary ag rather, on approximately 4.29 acres for a parcel division. The location, the northwest 1/4 of the southeast 1/4, east of County Road D, located in Section 20, Township 24 North, Range 8 West, all in the town of Unity, Trempealeau County, Wisconsin. Hearing requested by David W. Back and Ricky S. Back, Strum, Wisconsin, landowner petitioners. Then there are some requests, some information related to the COVID pandemic and recommendations and stuff for safe practices. Trempealeau County invites you to join this meeting as follows. To provide public comment on these hearings, please call 715-538-1770. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Virginia Gamroth with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916 or email at verge.gamroth@co.trempealeau.wi.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comment to Department of Land Management, P.O. Box 67, Whitehall, Wisconsin 54773, or email to verge.gamroth@co.trempealeau.wi.us. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author, and the request of the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Virginia Gamroth of the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916. So are the backs here? Do we have them?
Anyone online?
It doesn't look like anybody online.
No, I wasn't expecting anyone online, I was expecting.
Okay. Well, Verge, let's let's go ahead and describe what the request is.
The rezone request is to rezone 4.29 acres in the town of Unity from exclusive ag to primary ag. Primary ag zoning allows for 2 houses per 40, so we felt that this zoning designation accomplished what we needed to, and the remaining parcel was large enough so that it was suitable for the density remaining. Letters were sent to all adjoining landowners, and the hearing was published 2 consecutive weeks, 10 days prior to the hearing in the newspaper. I received no correspondence for or against. I do have a letter from the town of Unity. I talked to the gentleman purchasing the property, and he has talked to the county highway department about his access off the highway, and according to him, the highway department didn't feel there would be any problem with a driveway access off a county road, the county road. We do have a proposed CSM in our office, and Kyle did have a picture of the lot up there on the screen. That has been reviewed and approved by the county surveyor, and if the rezone is approved today, that will be filed. And that's all I have for you.
Okay. So, is there anyone, either via phone at 715-538-1770 or present, who wishes to speak to this request for a rezone? Is there anyone who wishes to comment on or ask questions related to this rezone? Verge, letter from the town?
I have a letter dated January 16, 2021, from the Town of Unity. To whom it may concern, the Town of Unity board members have no objection with the rezoning of the David and Rick Back property, parcel number 030-00447-0000. If you have any questions, you can contact Randy Schaefer, chairperson of Town of Unity. And thank you, Sharon Olson, clerk, Town of Unity.
I'll ask one more time, again, 715-538-1770, if you want to call in. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this issue? The phone is not ringing off the hook. All right, I'll close the public hearing portion of this at 9:55 and open it up to discussion and action.
Could I see the certified survey map pointed out on
Yeah.
a bigger map?
It's gonna be this area.
Use your fingers, that makes it a lot easier for us.
Along, okay, there's the county. Okay. Thank you.
While you're there, where's the Dairyland Power thing?
The other corner.
Oh, it's on the other corner? And the parcel we're talking about then is down there? Okay, okay. Okay. Does the committee care to take any action related to this? Okay, going to approve, Nelson to second. No, go ahead.
Anyway, I wanted to ask Bert, have they, I see it's still, the land is in Tolleson name, is that right?
No,
On the
the
map?
owner is Rick and David Back.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, it isn't on the map yet, evidently.
Oh,
Does it? On this one here that we have.
oh,
Unity.
well, the one I have, it's changed to Back.
Yeah, it's actually both ways. We've got 2 maps with different,
Kurt is looking at the plat.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, the plat map would be old. The most current is the online mapping, and, yeah, the plat map could very well be old.
So, the request doesn't include, but that looks like a waterway there, or field road, I'm not sure, I'm guessing waterway.
Probably intermittent.
It is? Okay. But that's not going to affect this parcel at all?
Slope's a completely different direction.
Pardon?
The slope's a completely different direction. I wouldn't interfere.
Okay, great. See, that's why we have you on this committee.
I've driven by that plenty of times.
All right, and it's just for this, the request is only for this parcel?
There we go.
Correct. Yes.
Well, it has elevation lines up now.
Oh, great. Nice. Yeah, it all flows away. All right, we have a motion and a second to recommend the rezone to the county board. Any other discussion?
I assume they still have to get a permit from the county department for a driveway. Okay.
Okay, all in favor of the rezone, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none opposed, we'll recommend it to the county board on the 15th. Okay, excellent. So, Verge, be in touch with the backs so that they can be sure to be available on the 15th. So who's next here? What do we got?
Land judging, number 9.
Number 9, oh, I've got the wrong agenda. Yes.
Dwayne Snowball is online, and it's 10 o'clock, so is there a chance that we could go down to him on at number, let's see, number 13?
If that's okay with the committee, Dwayne Snowball of APHIS is here.
So, for those, do they have to get back to school?
Yeah, they do.
So, I hate to see them miss a good education.
Well, Dwayne is plenty educational himself, but okay, Dwayne, are you good just holding on for a little while? Dwayne Snowball. Dwayne, can you hear me?
Technology.
Anyway, well, let's just go on. So who's going to be taking the land judging issue?
Well, that was Ben,
Ben,
And here he
Reed,
comes.
get in here. Come on.
just in time.
Joining the party.
Yeah.
They're on the land judging contest?
Oh, sounds real good. Yeah, so what we wanted, I am on? Okay, good deal. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of gauge the committee's interest. We have 3 schools that are interested in doing the land judging contest this year. Tess, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Arcadia, Levistrum, and Whitehall. And so, which is a lot less than we usually have. I think we usually have, Blair Taylor, Independence, GET that's also participated. So we just kind of wanted to gauge the committee's interest to see if it's something that we should still hold this year, given the lower participation. And yeah, just kind of see, how you guys were feeling about it, if we wanted to try and move forward with it this year, if we wanted to take a year off, and just kind of gauge your interest there.
Yeah, just to echo on Ben too.
Turn your mic on,
Oh,
Tess.
okay. I think it's on now.
It is.
Just to echo off of Ben quick, I have been in communication with some of the schools. They did meet in February to talk about the land judging competition. Like Ben said, Whitehall, Arcadia, Levistrum, they're all on board. Others are still on the fence because they're currently not allowed to do field trips, but they might talk to their administration to see if that could change. I did also reach out to NRCS, and they would be able to help out as well this year. We have them do the official scorecard for the pits, the soils team down in Alaska. And then we also have others come from the NRCS office here in Whitehall and help be like pit monitors and stuff like that as well. So like Ben said, some of our concerns are It's usually the tree and shrub sale that time of year. We aim to do the land judging contest the first or second Tuesday of the month of May. But that's usually when tree and shrub sales are too, anywhere from the end of April to early May. I will be out sometime in May for maternity leave, and that's when a lot of our construction projects start too. So, we talked about this as staff, and we thought, well, we might as well just come to the committee and kind of gauge your guys' opinion as well, since the 2020 competition was canceled due to COVID and safer at home. So we're still in the pandemic. We just wanted to kind of get your guys' opinion as to how we should move forward as staff for the 2021 land judging competition.
Carol?
How many people are involved in this? Are you talking the actual?
Your mic is off, Carol. There we go, now it is, okay.
Are you talking the actual day of the tree and shrub? I mean, can there just be one person that stands at the building? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, usually Ben is the lead on tree and shrub, so he is the one that's always there, and then he's asked other staff to help him out too, depending on.
Something that Ben can do himself and the other staff partake in this judging?
Yeah, I can certainly handle it myself, Carol. That's no problem. Usually for the land judging part, we do have most staff involved with that just because it does take more time, I guess.
Yeah, usually we have everybody on the conservation side as long as they're able to make it, and then also other people throughout the Department of Land Management volunteer to help, like land records. I know Verge has helped before, Becky helps every year as well, so.
Was part of the concern is the pickup dates they're not set in stone yet? You guys.
They could move based off of weather.
Yeah, so
Looking at how we're sitting right now, I'll be on track for my pickup days, which will be May 6th and 7th, I believe, or 5th and 6th, something like that.
So
It'll
is
be.
that a little bit of a problem because of that open-ended?
Yeah, currently we're
All
talking
this
about
other
the
stuff.
dates of May 4th for the land judging competition or May 11th. We usually have that set in stone by January, but obviously there are just so many unknowns, so we didn't pick an exact date. Those are the two dates we're looking at, though.
Who do you have lined up for digging on their property this year? Who's going to host it?
Well, last year it was supposed to be Oliva Strum, and Kirsty had been in contact with Hamlin Valley Farms. And we had pretty much everything scheduled and planned, and then we ended up canceling the contest sometime in April. So we were actually hoping to host there again, but I have not made the contact to Hamlin Valley just because, like I said, there are so many unknowns, and we didn't know what the school situation was like. I just heard back from NRCS last week that they'd be able to help because they had to get special permission to be able to be there as well. So I haven't reached out to Hamlin Valley. We thought we'd start with the schools, NRCS, talk to the committee, and then go from there.
I am not the committee, but I'm impressed that you have 3 schools that are committed, that are willing to do it, that want to do it, and I know that Arcadia especially likes to, defend their titles, so to speak, because they are so often the winners. And that NRCS recognizes the importance. I've been involved peripherally in the years past, and it is a great experience and very educational. And the meal is passable.
Yeah, and for this year, if we do have the competition, I doubt we would actually have like a full meal. It'd probably have to be packed lunches, or we could always look into ordering individual box lunches from Subway or something. I don't know what the cost would be. That could be expensive too. But one other thing I did too, just a quick comment, I reached out to some local counties just to see how they're handling their youth education events this year, and they still don't know either. There wasn't one county that said that they're planning to keep the ball rolling on everything that they usually do, just because there are unknowns too. So I wanted to let you know that I reached out to other counties, but everything's still kind of up in the air.
Well, last year the decision was easy to make.
Right.
This year, not so much.
Correct, yeah.
And I think it's a great idea to do it. I really do. I understand there'd be some there may be some issues in terms of staffing it, but if nothing else, call on the committee members, you know?
If you guys want to see it happen, we'll make it work. That's
Yeah.
all it boils down to.
Is that, what do you think? I think we should, I see a lot of heads nodding here.
I've participated in many of the land judging contests throughout the years. They're very enjoyable, they're very educational, and I would again like to participate. I see the May 4th and the 11th, they're both a Tuesday, so that would, Tuesdays are good. That May 5th would be our meeting date, so Tuesday would be good for any committee members to assist.
Yeah.
You're saying the day Tuesday, or you're saying May 4th specifically?
May 4th is a Tuesday, as is the 11th.
Yep.
So either day would be good for me.
Okay.
If I would be able to assist you again this year. It would be nice to move forward with it. For sure, it was unfortunate it was canceled last year. We do have the 3 schools interested right now, and I'm sure each of those schools will have a large team, as they usually have in the past. So I personally would like to proceed with planning it anyway.
Okay.
And maybe if the schools on the fence know that it's happening, maybe they'll be able to bring that forward to the people that be for those schools.
Yeah, and go ahead and
get some encouragement.
contact Hamlin Valley and see if they're still,
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly start the next steps on the planning process.
Also, just to let you know that this week, the educators have been opened up to get their vaccine shots. So by then, they should be ready to go in May.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right, you guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Works.
let's do that. Let's jump to, because we have some guests who are here to discuss the one resolution that we've been, Mr. Skowg had presented last month. And Ben, Tess, who was it that was responsible for creating the final resolution?
I just kind of put it into our normal county format, but otherwise, John really, all the verbiage was from him.
Well,
so. Yeah, well, but.
Well, let's move to number 10 on the agenda, or actually number 11. Discussion, possible action on resolution urging Congress to support a national policy on climate change based on a carbon fee and dividend. I'm going to ask, I'm getting a little hoarse. I'm going to ask Kathy to read this.
What, the resolution?
Yes, it's
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, everybody should also have a copy of the slides that John presented last time too. Kellen, I know you weren't here last time, so those will be just for your reference. And
Actually, what the slides are in your packet is it goes.
John, could you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
So what I did was, for each statement in the resolution, beginning at like slide number 7, there's an explanation of references on what supports that particular statement. So each of the statements is just addressed slide by slide.
Oh, okay.
And then the first few slides is sort of a review of what I talked about last month and my summary of why I believe that this committee should consider approving to go to the county board. And if I could I introduce the people that?
Yeah, we have,
Please.
apparently we have all sorts of people here. John Berg is on the line there, and we've got 3. Go ahead.
Can I have them come to the mic and just introduce themselves?
Sure, let's
Okay.
do that.
So Kevin?
Hello, my name is Kevin Carroll, and I'm a junior at Whitehall High School.
Hi, I'm Nyla Lasowski, and I'm also a junior at Whitehall High School.
And this gentleman?
And I'm Steve Reeser. I've worked with Citizens Climate Lobby. I'm a retired civil and environmental engineer in the area, and just know how important it is at the local level to support these initiatives, because I know where the costs as far as infrastructure get affected is at the local level.
And where are you from?
I live in south part of Eau Claire.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Thank you.
And then, John, you're online, right?
I see you, John.
John Burr. I'm a resident of Trempealeau County, live on Squan Road, and I've been assisting and involved with John. As again, I think that this is a very, very pertinent issue for our county and the issues that it addresses in terms of impact on farms, on farmers, on our energy future, and just for general citizens in our county.
Okay. John, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, just for Kellen's benefit and maybe just as a review, the whole resolution is asking Congress to support, or is to ask Trempealeau County to take a position to urge our congressional legislators to act on addressing climate change. And the specific action is to support a carbon pricing proposal, which is called carbon fee and dividend. And the bottom line with this is that it's a fee that is placed on fossil fuels that increases year by year, which will accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to renewable and clean energy over time, much quicker than what is occurring today. It's a tax, but it's not a tax. I heard a quote recently that it can only be considered a tax if the government takes the money and keeps it. In this case, the government collects the money and gives it back to every household as a dividend to offset the increase in prices that will result from an increase in the oil price or the coal price due to the carbon, the fee on carbon. So it is by design intended to be a bipartisan solution, not Democrat, not liberal or conservative, but one that should appeal to everyone because it's a market-based solution and not just a government mandate.
All right. Kathy, are you up for reading it?
Certainly. And if you can't hear me with my mask on, I would gladly take it off. So the resolution. Resolution urging Congress to support a national policy on climate change based on a carbon fee and dividend. Whereas increases in global average temperatures, the number and intensity of extreme weather events, sea level rise, and the melting of glacial and Arctic ice indicate that the global climate is changing, and whereas studies by the Wisconsin Initiative on Climate Change Impacts project that
Project.
if, project.
It took me a while to figure that out.
Whereas studies by the Wisconsin Initiative on Climate Change Impacts project that if climate change continues unchecked, Trempealeau County will experience increasingly warmer temperatures, especially during the winter months, and increasing amounts of precipitation and extreme rain events. And whereas Trempealeau County has experienced extreme rain events in the past 5 years, which have caused extensive damage to its roads, bridges, culverts, wastewater treatment facilities, and other critical infrastructure. And whereas such changes in climate may also have adverse effects on Trempealeau County's forests and timber industry by decreasing suitable habitat for such commercially important species as white and red oak, increasing the risk of wildfires, and increasing stress from forest pests, diseases, and non-native species. And whereas Such changes in climate may also have adverse impacts on Trempealeau County agriculture by increasing erosion from extreme rain events, hampering access to fields at critical times, and causing alterations in late winter freeze-thaw cycles. And whereas such changes in climate may also have adverse impacts on Trempealeau County's winter tourism economy by decreasing the duration of winter snow cover and rendering winter conditions less predictable. And whereas the mission of Trempealeau County, as stated in the comprehensive plan, is, quote, to act as stewards of the fiscal and physical resources of the county, to improve our quality of life and the environment in which we live, unquote, and that the county will, quote, provide safe, clean, natural environment areas where the public can enjoy, and provides that the county will balance economic viability of commercial and industrial uses with the environmental and social well-being of citizens, unquote. And whereas recent reports by UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and the U.S. government indicate that to avoid the worst potential impacts of climate change, urgent action is needed to reduce carbon emissions. And whereas, in order to reduce carbon emissions most effectively and efficiently, leading economists, including 4 past chairs of the Federal Reserve Board, 27 Nobel laureates, and 15 past chairs of the Council of Economic Advisors, recommend a gradually increasing carbon tax on fossil fuels, with the proceeds thereof returned to American households as dividends, and with a border adjustment system to protect the competitiveness of American firms both nationally and internationally. And whereas the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act meets all of those criteria and has bipartisan support, and whereas competent studies have projected that if such legislation is enacted, it will result in a substantial reduction in carbon emissions, as well as increases in GDP and employment, and that the dividends received by most low and moderate income households will be more than enough to offset price increases due to the carbon fee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors urges the United States Congress to pass legislation based on the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act without delay. And be it further resolved that the Trempealeau County Clerk is directed to send copies of this resolution to Senator Ron Johnson, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Representative Ron Kind, Governor Tony Evers, State Senator Jeff Smith, and State Representatives Kathy Bernier, Trig Prunchinski, and Jesse James. Introduced by Environment and Land Use Committee.
Thank you. We had a small presentation and, of course, last month's presentation. Is there a motion to approve the resolution and send it on to the county board?
I have a comment.
Sure.
In reading this, is this like a cookie cutter resolution that you're having with all the other counties?
I took it from a resolution that was approved in, I believe it's Ashland County, and I modified it to be customized to Trempealeau.
And then it was...
With that, then I would like to see something with the words added that Trumbull County is located in the driftless area. I think that's a unique thing in our state, and I think that's something that we should be proud of, and I think that needs to be put in here. I don't know where, maybe somewhere you could put the location.
Sure, and can you just, I've seen that before, but I don't understand what the what the significance of the driftless region is myself.
Oh, my God.
I
See,
know,
that's
terrible.
exactly why I want that
See?
added.
Yeah,
And we thought you were smart.
so,
Boy,
It is a
had us
significant
full. Who wants to take this, Ben?
yeah, I can take it. So the driftless area is essentially the unglaciated part of Wisconsin where glaciers did not drift through and flatten a lot of the terrain. So that's why we have a lot of our hills and ridges, deep valleys,
Minnesota
and whatnot
and
around here.
Iowa as well.
Yep, yeah, Minnesota, portions of western Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota, and then northeastern Iowa.
So it's a unique geographic feature of where we live.
Yes,
So
it is.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep, yeah, it is.
And Verge?
And actually, there is a really good show on WHLA playing that is called Mysteries of the Driftless.
Yeah?
And it's really a good show, so if you get a chance to watch it, go ahead. Yeah, WHLA, I think.
WHA.
Like Channel 5 or 6.
Oh.
It's WHLA.
On cable.
So not only you can think
Public
about
TV.
you can think about it too in terms of glacial and post-glacial. We basically seeded the rest of this region. I mean, the rest of this part of the world because we weren't covered in drift. So the seeds and the whatever else, bird life and so forth.
Some of the causes, some of the runoff, some of the volume.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we are a well-dissected
I
plateau.
would agree that's a very significant issue.
Okay,
Should
so
be included.
the first time, my guess is that the first time Trempealeau County is mentioned, say in the second whereas, studies by the Wisconsin Initiative on Climate Change impacts project that a climate change outlines unchecked, Trempealeau County, a county in the driftless area, will experience increasingly warmer temperatures. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
If that's, we haven't got a motion yet, but we certainly could add that language.
Yeah, that's fine.
We would need a motion from the floor to add that.
Well, let's get a motion to adopt the resolution first.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Chuck to adopt and Randy to second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. And now, would someone like to,
I make a motion that we insert the words located in the driftless area.
yep,
You know where.
Is that the way to say it, area, or is it region, or?
Area.
Okay.
Well, in your region, you're talking
Region.
about all the other counties, so area would be Trempealeau County.
Okay.
But the driftless is a bigger area.
That's correct.
But
But we're
I
talking
can't
about
believe you haven't
Trempealeau
heard of
County
this. We're
here.
very chauvinistic
No,
about
no,
our
I have
driftlessness.
seen the words, I just didn't understand.
No, it's not, but this resolution is from Trempealeau County.
Yeah.
So it's the area.
Area will work.
Driftless
Area,
driftless-
region, either one. Is
Whatever,
is
you
there a
get it.
second to that amendment? Okay,
I'll
Randy
second.
will? Okay. So all in favor of inserting the words, a county in the, a Trempealeau County in the driftless area?
Located.
Located in the driftless area, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, well, we'll agree that will appear in the resolution, and Ben, I see you making some notes.
Yeah, I jotted that down. I can insert
Also,
that in there.
Ben, underneath, at the very back, this is not a part of the resolution, but where it says drafted by John Skouk, citizen, with
Yes.
assistance from Department of Land Management staff, because I know you changed the paper birch and aspen to white and red oak, and also changed up the language related to the comprehensive plan. So you did assist in this, so please put that in there as well.
Okay. John, are you good with that?
I'm good with
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Can I get the names of my supporters, because they've reviewed this resolution as well, or?
Well, do we want their names on that? Do you have like a club name or something, or a group name?
I really appreciate the support of these young people, as well as my colleague online and Steve here. That's all I wanted to say, so.
I think what we'll do is we'll mention that at the county board.
Okay.
Okay, we'll bring that up at the county board.
Very good.
this, I have to say that this is aside from the kind of quiet stuff that Reed and Ben and Tess do in terms of conservation, you know, encouraging prairie restoration, good forest management, and all the basically all the conservation practices, no-till, that keep carbon out of the atmosphere and sequester carbon on the land. This is the first time the issue has come before the county board in such a open way. So this will be kind of cool. And maybe we'll get a little press because of it too. All right, before you leave, all in favor, say aye. Oh, wait, Kellen.
I have some questions.
Sure.
I've not been here for the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is a big deal to everybody. Can you speak to the effects of what this tax would do for a business in agriculture?
So, very good question, Kellen. There is
Go ahead, Carol.
There is an exemption for agriculture where agricultural fuels would not be subject to the tax. Now, what will be affected, to be perfectly clear, is inputs. So your fertilizer, herbicides, which are derived from fossil fuels, those costs would go up. But the details of and direct impacts to agriculture, I think, are part of the negotiation that's going to have to occur for a bill like this to get passed. But the proposal is that for agriculture, there will be it will not be subject to the fuel. So I think there's a pink fuel exemption already.
Fuel.
So that will be kind of transported into that part of the bill.
Any road fuel or things used, you know, hauling to market will still be subject to.
If that's considered agricultural use,
Well, you cannot use dyed diesel for that purpose. So you would have regular road tax fuel.
so I'll be honest, I don't know about, like transport to market and things like that. I don't know the detail.
Okay.
That's why he's on the committee, because he
That's a
knows
good-
this
it's a
stuff.
great
you know?
question.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
because I polled a number of farmers, I wasn't aware that it wasn't taxable, or that it wouldn't, that the ag fuel use would not, we wouldn't be subject to it.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge cost, and
Oh,
the farms
absolutely.
that I polled range from the tax being on the low end, $1,000, on the high end, 20,000 plus a year, on a market that is a price taker as opposed to setting your price. It's different if you're selling widgets.
Yep.
You can increase your cost, cover whatever.
Right.
We don't have that luxury in agriculture.
Yep.
So I still have concerns. You're right. I mean, it's very logical what you said with fertilizer production and all those, you know.
But flip side to that, Kellen, is I think there are other bills that are in Congress. One is called the Growing Climate Solutions Act, where the government, other approaches, as George mentioned, to encourage cover cropping, no-till, to sequester carbon. Part of that is to try to reduce inputs, but
So, and I can take issue with that, not with the idea, but I'm in the Buffalo Trempealeau Farmer Network. We met last night, and carbon credits came up last night. One of our group members, who's not very far from here, has been signed on with Indigo Ag, which is one of the companies
Yep.
that will pay you for your carbon
Right.
sequestration.
yeah.
He's been on for 3 years, and they will not pick him up to sell him.
And
So
that's what the Growing Climate Solutions Act is supposed to do, is to make it more accessible to farmers than what it is today.
I missed that last part. You said they won't what?
They won't. So basically, just say he's got 2,000 acres.
Right.
Okay, and pick your famous or big business that needs to sequester carbon.
Right.
And they can go to Indigo Ag. They charge the business whatever dollars per ton of carbon they want, and then farmer gets a check for, whatever.
Right.
Our consensus last night of that whole thing, with these private businesses operating that is they seem to be the only ones that are truly doing well on this. You know, they're talking about $15 a ton is what we get paid per acre or something. Okay, fine, that's nice. Nothing wrong with that. But what's the other company getting? What are they paying for it? And how much is being made in the middle? You know, I take great issue with that. The other issue that I have is as a no-tiller for 20 plus years, I won't qualify for any of the credits because it's an existing practice.
This is also always that caveat on those
I think
EA
that's
programs.
wrong.
Well, and we do too. It's penalizing us for being forward thinking.
And that's, the Goplins would be in the same
Same
boat,
thing.
right?
There's many of us.
Yep.
And we are in a progressive area that way because we are progressive.
Right.
And it's the right thing to do. So this whole thing is very complex, and I'm not sure that
So we're talking about two issues though, Kellen, because
that are connected.
Carbon credits are really not part of
This. Absolutely, I understand it.
This is a different part.
This is the tax side of it.
Correct.
That will impact farmers.
But from the input side, yes, but also farmers. So that's your business side, definitely. But
Yep.
as an American citizen, as a consumer, you will be given the dividend like everybody else as well. So as a consumer, you would benefit in that way as well.
As I understand it, most plans, and I believe this one even calls for approximately 70% of the funds to be returned, not the full 100.
Well, there's obviously going to be an administrative aspect. You know, when the government collects their taxes, they have costs before you can get your refund check, right? So I don't know what that administrative cost is, but the intent is to minimize that and give us, and I haven't heard 70%. What I've heard is more like 10%, and people are being critical of that as being too much of an administrative fee.
No, I had 30% on the administrative, not 70.
Steve, are you
70 was
familiar?
to be.
I haven't heard with that.
Can I get back to you on that?
I think that
because
would be good.
I can go back to the organization we belong to, Citizens Climate Lobby. They are intimately familiar with these details, and I can pose that specific question. What are the latest projections on the administrative cost? How much will be kept by the government?
Right, for administrating the program.
Yes.
Yeah,
But there's lots of projections out there about how much you would receive in terms of the dividend that you'll get back.
and that's, yeah, and I've read, I was on the CLC, or what is it? Citizens
CCL?
Climate, yeah, I was on the website and taking in information, and they referenced that most people will be getting a larger dividend than what they pay in incremental costs, okay? And I believe that to be true for many. Given our rural nature in western Wisconsin and the amount that we drive, I mean, we don't have public transportation to go anywhere here, essentially. And so I do believe that it will disproportionately affect all citizens a little bit more here than you would in a Chicago or a Minneapolis or New York, someplace that has metro and someplace you can walk. I mean, we can't walk too many places here.
You can, but then you're just there.
Well,
You know,
it might
there's
take you
nothing-
days.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a issue on a bigger picture, just with our rural nature, that we're you know, we have a big county, and there's.
I'm impressed with the level that you've looked into this. You clearly hit on some very good points.
Well, I take it seriously, and I think we all should, both for the climate change side of it, but also the economics and how that it could impact our neighbors. And it's important to consider both sides of it. I'm not saying we shouldn't do something on climate change. I've always been more of a carrot guy than a stick. I don't believe in, and I feel like this is the stick.
I see it as being both at the same time.
Depends on, and I can see it for the average citizen, but for someone that will be affected, in my business, and I know maybe not to the effect I was talking before.
Yeah.
But every ton of fertilizer, I don't know how much petroleum it takes to make, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's hard, they won't ever tell you anything like that.
Yeah.
But you can bet, bet dollar for donut, it'll be passed on to the end user.
Yeah. Is there so I've written this specific to a bill that I believe is one of the better ones out there. If we want to make it more generic or modify the resolution, if you think it would be, my ultimate goal here is to make it acceptable to urge Congress to act and to get something that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors will also support. So I'm very flexible in how to adjust the language to make it more, if it's too specific with saying carbon fee and dividend, if we could say carbon pricing or market-based forces. And I'll give you just an example. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, very conservative business organization, has come out and modified their position on climate change. They don't say carbon fee and dividend, energy innovation. They say, we believe we need to do something. We believe carbon pricing is the way to do it, and we fully emphasize that we want it to be a market-based solution. So they don't script what it is, but they still are hinting towards something very similar to this, which is, and that's why I made it very specific. So I'm happy to try to adjust the wording if needed to make it more palatable to the broader committee.
I think, John and Kellen, the county board passes resolutions like this on a regular basis. They are resolutions. They're not ordinances.
Nope.
They're not statutes. They're not laws. And we're never sure what the effect of these are. And what this has done, if nothing else, just in this discussion, is shown not only everybody in the room, but you would be surprised how many people are either listening or watching this on WTCO TV, formerly TCC TV, so that they know that people are here in the county are concerned about this, that the issue is more complicated than anybody can imagine, actually, because of how it affects different groups of different demographics. And so, honestly, I think the language is good. The issues have been raised, and your group, the people that you speak to and work with are going to be sure that if this does come up for a discussion in Washington, that those issues are going to be on the table. I know it isn't Sonny Perdue anymore. Who is it? Vilsack?
Vilsack.
Yes.
Vilsack will definitely somebody will have his ear when it relates to this kind of stuff.
So let me do this, because Kellen
I'm going to take over, okay?
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you, because we've got got people on the
Sure.
line and other issues. We have a motion and a second, an amended resolution, which Ben will prepare if this passes for the county board.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm going to call for a vote right now.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Yeah.
Two things. At our last meeting, Ben was asked to check or to look around to see if other counties have indeed looked at a similar resolution and passed a resolution of this sort or even this kind. Have you been able to discern if any counties have?
Nothing I guess, other than Ashland County, I didn't see anything specific to necessarily the climate fee and dividend, but other general climate change resolutions have been passed at multiple other counties. Columbia, I believe, was one. Monroe. There's been some others.
Okay.
Kathy, there is a map in that handout of counties and local governments that have endorsed this approach
Okay.
in Wisconsin.
And then
yeah, it's a little
I tried to contact Matt Kruger, the director of Wisconsin Land and Water Conservation Association, to get his and the organization's advice on this particular thing. He has been very busy preparing for the annual conference, which is going on right now, and I'm sure you folks in the back row are maybe missing some technical sessions. And thank you for coming here instead of being on the Zoom conference. So I have not been able to do that. I still have questions in my mind. And also, since Kellen is new and has some questions, and we just got the slides today, I would make a motion that we table the resolution to the April meeting.
Motion and a second to table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It will be tabled until the April meeting. You guys get another chance to get out of school. You can come back, John, with your friends, and we'll take it up some more then. And
So-
hopefully there are people out there that will be talking about it as well.
So with that, to table, what is required of me then? Do you want me to bring back any additional information?
I think if you know, Kellen brought up some issues related to administration costs, as well as whether or not the input type elements are going to be taxed, and then also how the distribution of the dividend would affect, or would be affected by one's location, rural areas, that sort of thing. So if you have any more information about that, that would be great.
I will certainly follow up on those.
Okay.
And can I contact you?
Thank you all for coming. If you got a minute, we have one more item that might be of interest, but real quick, but if you need to go, I understand.
No, I will stay, but I really appreciate the committees and the discussion here.
Okay,
One more quick thing, Kellen, do you want me to forward John's contact information to you? Sure. Yeah, okay, sounds good, I can do that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, somebody will get somebody's contact info,
You
so.
guys are both in the northern part of the
I
county.
know where he
so-
lives too.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-oh.
All right,
sounds
so
good. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
12, discussion possible action on resolution supporting efforts of 4 statewide organizations to introduce clean water measures legislatively this term. Verge had sent me a copy of a Wood County resolution. I think we've all got it. And I think with some minor changes, we could actually adopt this. Verge, did you want to talk to this? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, Ben.
Okay, yeah, I can speak to this. So, essentially, the reason that we actually got this resolution is that in the, I think it was in the be it resolved portions of the resolution that it said that the Wood County clerk would be forwarding this on to other counties in the state. So that's how we received it. We forwarded it to George and Kathy to see if, just to keep them in the loop on it. And we decided that it might be something that we could discuss at this meeting to gauge whether or not, you guys would maybe be interested in approaching a similar resolution, so. Essentially, do you want me to go kind of like a synopsis of what it is, or?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so essentially there's, so in the 2019, Wisconsin Governor Evers declared the 2019 the year of clean drinking water, created a clean water task force that, talked to a bunch of stakeholders as far as, issues and, possible solutions to, addressing some of the water quality issues in our state, both surface water, groundwater, drinking water, things like that.
Listening sessions around the state showed up in Arcadia.
Yep, yeah, there was some listening sessions around, so, but yeah, so, one of the big recommendations that came out of it was, full funding for staffing for, county land conservation departments. So the statutorial structure of how land conservation staffing is supposed to be funded is that there'd be 100% of one position would be funded from DATCAP, 75% of another position, and 50% of a third position. So 175/50, essentially. It hasn't been that sort of funding for years,
Forever.
from my ever maybe,
Forever.
from my understanding. So the fashionable number for full conservation staff funding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, I believe is in the 13.4 million range statewide, and what we've been allocated is usually in the 9 million range, somewhere in there. So we're about 4 million short on that full funding for the conservation staff. So that's that's one part of it. There's some other recommendations that came out as well. I believe there was possibly some more funding, Kellen, for like the watershed groups and whatnot was a recommendation.
A state geologist, another state geologist.
Yep, another state geologist. I think some additional money for the CAFO program for DNR was another recommendation. There's a lot of the PFAS stuff that came up. There was some, I think there was some recommendations regarding that. Some other stuff regarding more like residential, lead pipes and whatnot as well. And then I believe also some funding for nutrient management and things like that, like cost-sharing nutrient management plans at the county level. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but those are kind of the big ones that I can recall off the
And it
top
was
of my head.
I think the sort of traveling listening sessions were an outgrowth of the speaker's water task force as
Yes.
opposed to the governor's. So there was, the governor declared the year of water, clean water, and then the speaker, Robin Voss, I think, created a task force and sent them out, and they came back with 13, I think. It was actually mentioned someplace.
Yeah, there was.
I believe it was 13.
Recommendations, none of which have been taken up in the legislature, so.
Yeah, so essentially this resolution is urging legislature to, make a decision on these recommendations and approve them, I think, based off this resolution.
11 bills were approved by the Assembly last session, but it was never taken up by the Senate.
Okay.
And they essentially will have to be reintroduced again this time around. And I don't know if they have been yet or not.
Sure. Our department, this department has been dealing with nitrate issues south of 35 forever. And obviously our phosphorus issues are not new to the discussion. And the municipalities and landowners have been trying to find ways to address a high, persistent high phosphorus level, natural high phosphorus level. So much of what you all have been doing the last year is related to that, which is greatly appreciated. So if you want to bring back something written up specifically for Trempealeau County again for next month, I think we'll go ahead and deal with it.
Is that the consensus that
I will make a motion to ask staff to revise or revise this resolution to Trempealeau County.
To its format and so forth. Is there a second to that? A second by Kellen? Okay, motion and a second to instruct staff to revise the Wood County resolution related to clean water quality issues. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, and then bring it back next month.
Yep, you'll have something next month. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think something similar to this is at our business meeting on Friday at the Land and Water Conference.
Yeah, looking at the agenda, it did seem there was something similar to this for sure.
Chuck, what's your schedule?
For,
How long are you with us?
I can stay, that's why I'm online.
Okay, good. Let's thank you guys for showing up, and John, see you. Okay. Wildlife damage program. Okay. What we're gonna do, Dwayne, we're gonna get to you right after this. We're just gonna take a 5-minute break, okay? Dwayne, can you hear us? Nod if you can. Okay, good. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back and plug into your issue. Don't you miss that? Nobody else is coming back. So we all have an email from Dwayne through Verge related to the Assembly bill that speaks about our wildlife damage, the existing wildlife damage program, and the suggested changes. I will confess to having not read the detailed stuff, but did read the analysis. And I know Dwayne, you all know Dwayne, there he is. Kellen, I don't know if you met Dwayne Snowball. He's our wildlife damage person who visits us twice or 3 times a year. And last session, well, Dwayne, why don't you just turn on your mic and describe what we're dealing with here.
Try it by yourself first.
I can hear you, Chuck.
Can't hear you, Dwayne.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, as George said, I did send out an email a couple weeks ago, basically trying to keep the counties I work with informed. If you remember last year, for the new committee members, Kellen and stuff, you wouldn't be aware of this, but in 2019, it started, late 2019, there's a movement out of Rusk and Sawyer counties legislatively. Kind of the background on that is they have significant bear problems up there. So they didn't like certain aspects of the program, so they made a number of recommendations. Some didn't require legislation, others did. They went to the legislators, and then last year was, I forget the numbers on the bills, but 628, I think, Senate bill, and 695 for the Assembly bill. Most of the changes involve bear-related issues on ag damage, and mainly corn, and how you set bear traps and the damage caused when you have to get in. Wildlife Services set the bear traps. But there's some other ones that are more significant. The main one being it was going to remove county administration for the Wildlife Damage Abatement and Claims Program, but basically removing that and have DNR administer the program. The other one was removing the cap, the 10,000 maximum cap per claim per year to basically unlimited, so there's no cap. Now, what happened last year, it worked through the Senate, it was passed through the Senate and then got to the Assembly, but there was no action taken, so the bill died. The bill died there, and they had to start over the process. So the new bills are Senate Bill 63 was reintroduced on February 8th, and Assembly Bill 49 on the 10th. Basically, there's no change in what was being proposed in early 2020, and so the effects, basically the same legislation come through. They didn't extend even the effective dates of stuff. Being it was delayed a year, they just kept what they originally proposed. So with county administration, it would still change the end of this year. And then there's some other stuff dealing with bear stuff. So we talked last year about it. Last year, DNR they were going to see where it was going. They didn't, kind of took a neutral view on it. This year, they do support it. Moving forward, except the 10,000 maximum claims per year, they want to try to put a 25,000 max cap at least. So it's moving through. Like we're Wildlife Services, we can't, contact legislatures or anything like that. Our goal is just to keep, because you folks hire us, keep you informed on what's changing, and this is a pretty significant change. One of the concerns, it's working great the way it is now. One of the concerns is, this started in 2 counties. Currently, there's 70 counties in the Wildlife Damage Abatement and Claims Program. And last time there was very little input because this is going to have far-reaching effects. And so part of the concern is just the process where something like this, counties may want to have more input in it. I've experienced, as long as I did this, I've experienced some counties would prefer not to do the program at all and be just fine with it. Some want that local control. That's how this program is currently set up. The early 80s, they wanted local control. And then there's other counties in between on it. As far as, I'm assuming there's going to be some opportunity for public input or county input on the process if the county so choose to do so. But just, it's kind of the same we talked about last year, as far as what each individual county thinks of the program, if they continue want local control or they're okay with it being switched back to, or going to DNR administration of the program. So that's kind of the synopsis on it. Is there any questions for me?
Anyone have any questions for Dwayne?
I do remember the discussion from last time, last year when we did this, so I don't have any questions of Dwayne at this time. I personally feel that the program has been working well for Trempealeau County, and I would not like to see a change. So, there's my 2 cents.
What's not mentioned in either in the synopsis, I don't know if it's addressed in the bill at all, is part of the participation by the county has to do with understanding what the current cost of corn and soybeans are, and hay, I think, related to damage claims. And, we set the cost that's to be paid by the state for the reimbursement, but we also set cutoff dates for, I mean, there's a lot to this. It's more than just money in and money out in terms of responsibility for determining how many deer are to be killed and so forth. So is the DNR prepared to be involved in that process, or would that be all put on you?
As far as George, that goes, there's been no discussions on the details on how we'd work stuff out, how that would work out. I know DNR is indicated if it does go this way, then they would contract with Wildlife Services to run it. But none of those details, how do you do one crop price for the whole state for each crop, and then if there's some issue with claims or something, how does a farmer who would prefer appeal a claim decision or amount or something, how they would go about that? None of those details, to my knowledge, have been worked through at all. Nothing's even initiated on that so far.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dwayne? I think where we left this staff, I mean, Reed is sort of bobbing. No, okay. I think where we left this last time, and I'm not saying we can't do something different, is that if members of the committee, I know Beth did contact Trigg about this, if members of the committee feel a need to or a desire to contact our representatives to go ahead and do that as it relates to this, because I know Carol and Kellen haven't been involved in this process much, but the rest of us have done this for a number of years and know how smoothly it works. My personal concern is not so much the loss of local control as the ability to reach the goals of the program, which is to minimize the amount of wildlife damage to not just to pay people for the damage that's done, but to minimize the damage going forward, whether that's building fences around apiaries and apple orchards, or killing deer, getting permits to kill deer out of season in order to minimize the amount of damage. In reading the synopsis, it seemed to me that we were going back to a time prior to the most recent iteration of this program, where someone came in, proved that they had damage, and then they got paid for it, as opposed to trying to mitigate that damage. So that would be that's my major concern about this. There seems to be no impetus to do anything than to collect for the damage. I was interested to note, and Dwayne, did you say that 70 of the 72 counties participate in this now?
Right. So wildlife services works with, I think, 53 or 54 right now, and then with the exception of Menominee County, and I forget the other one that don't participate, then the counties administer it with their employees, not unlike in the 70s or the 90s when you folks were doing it and then hired wildlife services. So
right.
70 to 72 counties currently participate in the wildlife damage abatement and claims program, and so there's about 16, 17 that administered on their own through the county. And it could be the land conservation department, it could be some other extension does some of it in some counties. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So what do you guys want to do? I mean, the option is to have an option would be to make a motion to communicate our desire to stay the same or to support the changes, and then have staff pass that on to our representatives. That's one of the options, or we could just choose to do that ourselves.
I would like to see a motion to agree with keeping the county control.
Did you just make a motion to that?
I will. I'd like to make a motion to request that the county be able to keep control of their wildlife program.
Is there a second to that?
I second that.
A second by Scoy. Any other discussion?
How are we going to accomplish that?
What we could do is instruct Verge.
Resolution.
Or we could create a resolution to that effect. Unfortunately, I tried to find where this was in the legislature. My ability to navigate things computer aren't as up to date as they should be, so I wasn't able to get to the website to show me where they're at on this schedule of this. But
Dwayne, do you know where they are in the legislative process right now?
Hang on, let me look here.
yeah, see, he just turns to his computer and pushes a button and it shows up.
Because we may not have time for a
That's-
resolution.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Hang on here, let me see if I can get to the, as far as I know, I haven't looked up recently. They've just been reintroduced. I don't know what actions have been taken on them so far. It's like from last year, it's like last year, 6/28 started in December 19th, 2019. And it looks like about 6 weeks working through this process for, read first time, physical estimates, public hearing held, executive action taken. There's a number of steps has to be taken. We have not got an update from DNR as how far it's progressed.
Okay. So do we want to, again, put this on the, if we could pass if this motion passes, we could bring a worded resolution back next month, but then it would go to the county board in April, and sent to,
Well, it doesn't have to be a county, it could be a county-wide resolution. It could just come from us
okay.
also.
In which case, if we vote on it here, we could just communicate that.
Well, it could come in the form of a letter.
Yes. Let's go that route instead of bringing it to the county board. Okay. All in favor of the motion to support retaining county control of the wildlife abatement program, wildlife damage program, say aye.
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 Opposed? Verge and I will work on a letter to that effect and then communicate to all our representatives. Let's move back to number 10. Discussion possible action satisfying. Thanks, Dwayne.
I will exit. I will exit the meeting now. So if you have any questions, certainly give me a call. Okay.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
And again, the individual members can certainly contact our legislatures.
So, who's Tess, Ben, Reed? Who wants to talk about the cost share agreement?
Yeah, I can talk about it, George. So essentially, we just wanted to run this form by you guys. So an issue that we kind of ran into is during the course of property transfers where we had historic cost share projects that were over the amount of money that would require them to record it. You know, they have to get the cost share contract recorded with the Register of Deeds. Somebody goes to sell that land, 20 years later, this contract still pops up in a title search. When a title company or a lawyer or something does a title search when the property is being sold. And so essentially, the title companies and lawyers kind of want to have something that would acknowledge that the cost share contract has been satisfied, mainly because we have a 10-year operation and maintenance period on most of our practices. And so, if you're looking, at a project that was done in the 90s and the cost share contract is recorded, obviously it's outside of that 10-year operation and maintenance period. So essentially that it's no longer a valid contract, but we have to have something that would be recorded with Register of Deeds that essentially shows, okay, this contract was satisfied. And so that's what this document is. We didn't really have anything on file specific to our soil and water resource management grant program. We have something on file for any of our DNR grants. They kind of have a form that is already, is already approved and whatnot, but we needed to more or less draft something for our DATCAP funding. So I went on DATCAP's website, did a little bit of research, and it was not very helpful, to be honest with you. They said, from the guidance document I found on DATCAP's website, they essentially said, talk to other counties and see what they got. And so I did just that, and I was sure County, Ed Hernandez down there was nice enough to send me the form that they utilize. And so I just kind of made some edits to it for Trempealeau County, and wanted to get approval from the committee prior to utilizing this in situations where the 10-year operation and maintenance period has indeed expired on recorded cost share projects. So,
and this requires staff keeping track of this stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So are you gonna go back years, or how far are you gonna go back to do
Well,
this?
Carol, we've just been kind of doing it on whenever the lawyers or title companies call us and ask us about them, essentially. If we were to go back and do them, that would require quite a bit of staff time, I think, to kind of retroactively do it, or proactively, record these for all of them. So, I've just been kind of doing them with the DNR ones, just whenever a title company or a lawyer calls me about it. So.
But this would be going forward then, or yeah, if
And this is for a different grant program. That's why
Right.
why we needed the different form. So.
Okay. But so basically, if one of the contracts expires tomorrow and we approve this today, you would fill this out, get it notarized, and file it with the Register of Deeds.
We would probably still keep the same process of only if it's requested by the title company or the lawyer. Because I just think, like I said, I think if we were to go back and try and do it for all of our cost share practices, it would take
Well, no, I mean, if there was a cost share practice that was installed 10 years ago, and you and it expires tomorrow, would you then fill this form out? I'm not saying about going back. I mean, you obviously are tracking the cost share programs, so, and the requirements of the 10-year maintenance. So I guess that's just my question is, and so your answer is if it's something that comes from the title company, you'll address it?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So I make a motion that we accept this form.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Second by Skoyan, motion by Bowick. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so we have a new official-looking form.
Yes.
Excellent. And we've done this and this and this. Okay. Number 14, discussion possible action is, are we gonna?
Reed actually had to take off, so I'll
This is the guy I'm talking about here.
Oh,
right here.
Rick, yes, Rick.
Come on in, Rick. We even have a name tag for you.
Oh, I'll sign it, fine.
We need you by the mic. Just remove your head for the camera, please. Okay. Discussion possible action regarding committee member doing their own conservation project and receiving compensation. That's me. And I'm curious to see how I'm characterized during this discussion. So go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so essentially George wants to do some bluff prairie work on his farm. There's a small, correct me if I'm wrong, about a quarter acre area.
Acre and a half.
Acre and a half area that George wants to restore on his land. You know, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, the committee approved, you know, cost sharing non-agricultural conservation practices with county cost share dollars. And, you know, this is something, I guess, that, you know, that we're probably more likely to see, you know, with the non-ag practices, you know, your invasive species removal, you know, bluff prairies, things like that, where a landowner is going to be a contractor. And so, you know, I guess that's maybe kind of part of this discussion, but ultimately, just for transparency's sake, we wanted to at least discuss, you know, with George being on the committee and whatnot, you know, at least discuss it at the committee level, just for sake of transparency, so.
Can I say something? Okay. Basically, I've been wanting to do something with this goat prairie for years, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And then when I heard that there are people who actually do this for a living, is restore goat prairies. I know Ecker's Orchard had a tour a number of years ago, which was great. And the people who had helped out were there presenting. And then I heard that there was cost sharing through Fish and Wildlife, but also through our project here. And I was floating this to Reed, who set up a plan for me, and then was pretty clear that it's really hard to find people to do this. Even the folks who do it for a living are too busy to get out. And I floated the idea that, well, I'll just do it. You can pay me to do it. And that suddenly became, even though I was not, I'm going to do it anyway, if anybody pays me to do it or not. But that actually raised an issue that you guys had been discussing for some time about
as their own contract, usually in the sense that it's saving the county money, because usually, you know, they can do the work cheaper than if it were to be hired out. But we did run into a situation, I won't name names or anything like that, but there was a landowner that I met with who he did contracting on his own project, and he's like, and yeah, I made, you know, X number of dollars off the project too, you know, in the process of doing it. And it was just, it kind of brought up like an interesting, like, you know, kind of, I guess, moral thing, like, you know, should a landowner, be getting the benefit of this project, whether that be a grassed waterway, manure storage, roof barnyard, prairie restoration, and then also, be paid, essentially making a profit off of it too. That's kind of where, it was just a challenge for us to kind of navigate that as far as whether or not that was ultimately right or wrong. Even if it might be cheaper from the county's perspective. So.
Right. At the end of the day, for a project, somebody has to get paid. For the materials, I mean, you have your equipment, your seed. If it's a stream bank project, you have rock, you might have fabric, you might have erosion control matting. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many components that go into it. If a landowner is willing to do the work on their own, they might not be able to afford all of that without the county coming to help pay for, to get the materials and all of that too. So, yeah, I mean, this is all part of the broader conversation as to, are we crossing a moral line by paying out a landowner directly to do the project? But like I said, there's a lot of materials that come into play as well that maybe the landowner, couldn't afford or wouldn't have access to without the additional funds coming from the county, so.
And to add a flip side to that too, if we just do it our typical way, I mean, a contractor's making money too. I mean, obviously they're profiting off of our project. So,
right.
Like I said, it's, there's two sides to it ultimately. And I guess we just kind of want some direction on how to move forward with it. We think that with these non-ag conservation practices, we're going to be seeing much more of it. Just with the way standards have gone with a lot of our normal ag conservation practices. A lot of the farmers don't necessarily have the equipment to do a lot of that work. Some do, but a lot of times, even then too, they're like, I got other stuff I got to do. I don't got time to, I don't got time to mess around bulldozing a waterway or something like that, even if they may have a bulldozer. So ultimately, a lot of times they'll still hire it out with our, with our cost sharing. So, but I do, like I said, I do like the idea of, in certain situations, the county might save money by and be able to spread out our cost share funding more by allowing landowners to be their own contractor.
So no money goes out until the project is completed, correct?
That is correct.
And
yeah.
signed off on.
And then, of course, you review everything to make sure everything is done correctly and the charges are reasonable.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. And this is why we bid a lot of projects out too, is so that, well, it's policy that any cost estimate over $10,000 is out to bid. The past couple of years, we've bid pretty much every single project that we've done. But yeah, so we have a set price. The project is constructed. If something changes during construction, we do a formal change order. We go out, we resurvey, we do like an as-built plan, send that to our local DACCAP engineer for final approval, and then as soon as it's approved, that's when we start looking at the financials, getting the invoice, working with Becky, and then getting it to the committee for ultimate approval. So nothing is paid out on the county's end until absolutely everything is signed off on.
It seems to me there are many safeguards in place. Other programs allow landowners to do their own work. I don't know if a motion is appropriate, but I would make a motion that the committee member can do their own conservation project.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second to allow a committee member or committee members to do, what is the language?
And this would be for
their own
going forward
conservation
also.
project and receiving compensation. I think the one thing you guys did leave out of this discussion, and this goes for all conservation practices, is that your technical assistance is free.
It is, yeah.
So Reed has been out, we've walked the land, we've identified a number of conservation concerns, and he has developed a plan for this this goat prairie, and whether I choose to charge for my labor or not, I would be going along with the technical plan that he's developed.
Yeah, ultimately on all of our conservation projects, whether they be ag, non-ag, whether a contractor's hired or a landowner's doing it, the plans are the Bible in that regard. They're obligated to carry out what is what is set forth in the plans. So, we have the safeguard there, that way there can't really be any, any shortcuts or anything like that, because everything, the plans are very detailed and they outline pretty much everything, so, there is that safeguard as well that, that the plans do have to be followed, so.
Okay, so,
And I do know, I'd just add also, I do know in the past, there not any sitting committee members right now, but there have been past committee members that have partaken in cost share programs.
yeah, this is
So this is
slightly
nothing-
different, but,
nothing
yeah.
new.
So, motion and a second to allow committee members doing their own conservation project and allowing committee members to do their own conservation project and receive compensation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm abstaining. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
When I started talking to Reed about this, my intention was not to start a larger discussion. I just want to get my Go Prairie cleaned up. But this was a great opportunity for us to learn more of the process and for you guys to be able to know what to do going forward.
Yeah, I know it was a great discussion. Thank you for the direction on that.
Yeah, and thanks for putting me on the hot seat there. No, it was not too, thanks.
Do we need Ben and Tess here for other items?
I don't think so. If you guys got stuff you need to do?
They have a conference
We
they're
do have a
attending.
conference, yep.
They're Zooming.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next two items relate to the recommendations for appointment to Environment and Land Use Committee Towns Representative position and Livestock Representative position. They're appointed every 2 years on the odd number years by the chairman in April, at the April County Board meeting.
May.
In the past, or in the May County Board meeting, rather. In the past, the Towns Association makes a recommendation, and Kathy has been recommended the last, how many terms?
Well, last three. The first I was part of a dual recommendation.
Okay.
But-
And then the livestock producer member is recommended by this committee. In other words, names are put forward from this group here. I did talk with Randy Severson this morning, and he is willing to continue in his role as the livestock representative. But I will open it to the floor if there are any other suggestions for, I suppose, either Towns Association or livestock representative. Clarify on that on the towns. Is that the only recommendation that comes is from the town?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this committee also has moved names forward.
Okay.
If so chosen. Towns Association will meet, the big quarterly meeting will be, I believe it's April 22nd. I don't have an April up here. The towns are, a vast majority of the town boards are up for reelection this April.
So they'll
So
meet
the
after.
reorganization meeting for the County Towns Association is always pushed back until the third week.
So if any other committee members have any other recommendations for either livestock producer member or Towns Association member, I can pass those on to John Austin.
Do you need a motion to?
No, just throw a
Nothing?
name out.
Okay.
We're not voting on them. It'll be John who makes the decision.
Nominate him right now, then.
Yeah?
I'd nominate Darren Malcheski.
Darren Malcheski?
Yep.
For livestock?
For the livestock
Okay.
producer.
Where's he live?
Arcadia area.
Oh, sure. Okay. And Randy Severson, obviously. And Kathy, you've expressed a desire to remain?
I will be willing to serve again.
Okay. Anybody else? I'll pass these names on to John Austin, and we'll figure out when it is that exactly, whether it's the April meeting or April County Board meeting or May County Board meeting, where those appointments are made.
George?
Yeah.
Well, technically, these terms expire at the end of April.
Okay.
But I believe, when I talked to Dan Lila, I thought he said that